Welcome everyone to this week's episode, and please excuse the snuffly nose. It's winter here in Australia, and I've come down with the dreaded lurgy, which is very rare for me. But I didn't want to put this recording off because the guest I have today, Steve Sidd, and I have been trying to organise our diaries for many months. Actually, I think it's even been over 12 months, and I know you're going to gain so much from it. So, Steve is a highly experienced retail and food services specialist with over 28 years of hospitality management, project management, and consulting experience. He's been very involved in workforce reform in the hospitality industry and has in-depth knowledge and expertise in business and workforce planning and management. Steve's experience includes significant operational and management experience, having owned his own catering business now for more than 28 years and being recognised through industry bodies, both state and nationally, for being amongst the best in the Hospitality Club, Restaurant and Catering Awards. And that is how our paths have crossed, because both being in the hospitality and the registered club industry, yes, our paths have crossed many a time. So welcome, Steve. It's wonderful to have you here with me.
Thanks, Michelle. Much appreciated. And that was a nice welcome.
So it was short and brief because I know I've got some wonderful questions to ask you where you're certainly going to elaborate on that. So, Steve, you've had an extraordinary journey from working alongside your father at age 10 to now managing over 13 venues and over 350 staff. What pivotal moment shaped your vision for the hospitality industry?
Oh, it's a good question, and what a journey it's been. And I guess starting at a very, very small restaurant when I started 28 years ago, I opened my very first restaurant in St. Ives. It was a very small restaurant, and I was 18 years old, and I wanted to get in and open my very first restaurant. And I said to my father, right, I'm going to do it. And I went out on my own, and I ran that restaurant for 5 years, and did I learn things at 18 years old?
You would have.
But it was something that I was always really, really passionate about. And to see my people grow with me, to see my business grow, but have my staff come on that journey with me is what really excites me. You know, some of my best staff that work for me today started at the bottom of the ranks, and just to see people grow and for me to be able to mentor my own people is really, really exciting. And to see that the industry is always changing. There's always new trends, and always to make sure that we are on trend. We do our research all over the world, and to always lift the bar and improve those systems and improve those processes and really expand the business is something that I love and enjoy. And I thank COVID for that, because if it wasn't for COVID, I wouldn't be where I am today, because it gave me the opportunity to reset myself. And we really have gone from strength to strength year on year, and I'm really proud of where we are today.
And I know we're going to delve into that a lot more, but the first thing you were saying there, Steve, about not only developing yourself and seeing yourself grow, but your team. And to me, I think that's one of those key ingredients of an amazing leader or business owner, is to not just ignite the potential in yourself, but ignite that potential in others. And yes, COVID was a reset for many. I think even for the whole hospitality industry, we've always done it this way and it's been good. It was never going to break, but now we can do something different. And some did, and they've really succeeded. And I know the areas that you've gone into now that you're going to share with us has really grown your company. And I was very much the same, and I know many other companies. So, okay, so what we've done has worked, but what can we do now that's going to be even better? So I'm really looking forward to discovering more about it. So you've been instrumental in that workforce reform across hospitality. What do you see as the most critical shifts needed today to position hospitality as a career of choice in Australia?
Yeah, I think it's really important. And again, Michelle, as you touched on it, as I've said, my people, they're so important. And, having the staff retention, being that employer of choice, again, I don't want to keep on talking about COVID because it's well behind us now. But again, when we had that staff shortages, it gave me the opportunity to sit back and say, right, how do we retain our staff? And it's about investing back into our people. So I think it's really important. A lot of businesses, as we said, we just get on with the day-to-day things, and it's the hustle and bustle, and we move really quickly. But it's not, it's about sitting back and identifying those champions that work for us. Now, a lot of people come and join the hospitality industry, and it's like a revolving door because they're
Yes.
doing it as a stopover while they're doing uni. But there are so many champions in our industry that just do not get given the opportunity. So
Mm,
for us, it's about identifying those champions, identifying that pathway for them, and to upskill them. Because
mm,
like myself, as I continue to grow, I've got 350 staff. We're taking on more venues. We love to promote within. So if I need a new venue manager, a new restaurant manager, I'm better off to have the people that have worked for the business that understand the systems to
mm.
enable them to come on that journey with me. As I continue to grow, they grow with me. So I think
Yes.
that's really paramount to be able to identify your champions within your team.
Mm,
And the other thing that I think is really, really important is the amount of automation and systems and technology that you can use within your business to really get your team out of an office, out of doing that paperwork, and that there's paperwork that needs to be done. But our key people, we want them on the tools. We want them in the kitchens, if they're head
mm,
chefs, working with their teams. Again, consistency, staff training, personal development,
mm.
mentoring. It's important that our senior management team are with their teams as well. So I think,
Yeah.
there are a couple of areas that we see that is really, really important for our industry.
Mm. So you mentioned automation there because automation, AIs, all those that oh my goodness, we're all crazy about it, and the concern for many is, oh, it's going to take our jobs. And I've said, oh, for me, the hospital will always need that interaction with people, and we saw that when yes, we had that moment of stop. People desperately wanted to get back in. So when we start talking about, I really want you to share about how you have brought in automation into your business that has enhanced your team. Yeah. Mm.
And I think that is so key.
Mm.
Automation is not replacing people. It's enabling our team to spend more time, especially front of house, to spend more time with their customers,
Yes.
giving them
Yes.
that customer service experience. So, for
Mm.
instance, we've introduced AI to take all of our phone calls, our reservations, our inquiries, the amount of times that our staff get taken away to answer a phone call when they should be on the floor. So, to really make sure that we're offering that excellence in customer service standards. So, it's, as you said, the word enhancing, it's enhancing our customer service experience.
Mm.
Also within our kitchens, the amount of automation from, temperature checks, compliance standards, PO, purchase orders, supply chain, the approving invoices. We have a software that automates that process for our chefs. Again, that
Right.
means our head chefs are not stuck in an office marking off invoices. It's all
Yes.
automated so they can spend more time in the kitchen. So again, it's about making our business a lot more efficient.
Mm.
Saves us a lot of dollars in labor hours. But again, it's about having our team on the tools, what we employ them for, and what they're good at.
Yeah. And which I'm sure they would prefer to do.
Absolutely. Who wants to be stuck in an office?
He wants to be stuck in an office barking off inventory. It's pretty boring. I'd rather be cooking. Well, actually, to be honest, I'd rather be eating it. But anyway, but it's true. But that's how we use automation in this really positive way that is going to enhance, but it's also going to grow that team, that business, and that stronger connection with our customers. Because as you rightly said, Steve, it's going to give them more opportunity to share that information. I also see it as an opportunity to share the information with their internal customer, their frontline teams, the people out the front who are, walking up to the tables, taking the orders, passing them over at the bench top, whatever it may be, that they've also got that knowledge now that the chef's been able to share with them about where that product's perhaps come from or what's actually in that product instead of them stopping and going, oh, well, I don't know, and they've got to interrupt the chef. So it
That's
does
right.
give them that bit of a full circle moment, doesn't it?
Absolutely, definitely,
Mm.
absolutely. As I said, it enhances from a customer to the staff. It helps the entire business, and I think
Yes.
technology has been great. And I don't think it's a threat to
No.
employment. I think, as we said, it just makes things a lot more efficient for us.
Yes, yes, which is fantastic. So, Catering HQ has seen huge success with diverse dining concepts and recently with Hospo in a box. What inspired the development of this franchise model and how do you see it shaping the future of independent food service? Now, this Hospo in a box, that's come out of the last few years. This is one of those, okay, how are we going to shake things up? Mm,
So yeah, so we have a lot of, obviously, the 13 venues that we've got are very large footprint clubs.
mm,
But we do get approached by a lot of the smaller footprints, whether they're clubs, pubs, hotels, that are quite small, or they're regional, and they struggle to find a head chef, or they're trying to find a caterer. And as a business, we were saying no to these clubs. And I said to myself one day, how do I not say no to them, and how can I support them? Because I'm all about supporting the industry. I love seeing people succeed. So I
Yes.
love sharing my story. I love sharing my insight. So we built Hospo in a Box, which is our franchise model for these smaller venues. They all of the products that these venues buy will be from our Catering HQ Whole Foods. So we've got our own manufacturing and distribution arm. So 85% come through our Whole Foods business.
Gosh.
We've got our technology, which is called Hospitality Genie, which runs the entire operations of the business. We have all of our SOPs and training manuals that are all online on our digital platform. So we basically are handing over the blueprint, if you want to call it, to a potential franchisee. Franchisees could be either a head chef or a venue manager, or even a club that's running their own catering in-house, and they don't want to rely on an executive chef, but they need the support.
Yes.
In a Box provides that support to these businesses, and a lot of these smaller venues, they do struggle.
Yes.
It's hard for them, or there's a lot of head chefs or restaurant managers out there that want to get into their own business, but they don't have the know-how. We've got that process for them. We've got that solution for them. We've got the full support, the full training, all of the products, all the menu development. And I think that's a game changer to our industry across all of Australia, because we're going national with our franchise.
Wow. That's
So I think it's
fantastic.
really important to support. It's great to say, all the larger venues, but there are a lot of smaller venues that do need that support. And I really want to see them succeed, because, we all hear the gloom of the industry, but there is a solution, and we feel
Yes.
we've got that solution for them.
And I think it's wonderful in the point that you're making about those regional venues, those remote areas, throughout all of Australia. And we know in particular, if we look at registered club industry, I know myself, and I suppose it's because I'm in the industry for all these decades, is if I go somewhere oh, that's got, well, what's the local club? Is it the RSL, the little football club, whatever it is? Because you know what you're going to get. There's always be the schnitzel, the roast, there's going to be something and there may be a few little surprises there, a special pie or whatever. But it's always the heart of the community, where you can take grandchildren in my circumstances, or just myself, and it's going to be a safe and secure environment. And whatever you spend for that product, it's going to be a good product. But you're right, so many of them do struggle because they want the best, but they just don't know how to go about it.
Absolutely. And because we've got our Catering HQ Whole Foods, which is our manufacturing, our production kitchen, pastry chefs, I've got production chefs, I've got butchers. So we're taking all that hard work out of these venues. All of our slow cooking, whether it's your brisket, your lamb shanks, your pork bellies, your ribs, we're doing all that hard work. So when it goes to those venues, they're just finishing them off. They're reheating
Right.
it, they're presenting it. So we're taking all that hard work, all that slow cooking, to ensure the consistent product to these venues. So it's a full support program for these clubs that really need that help.
And what I like to hear is that it's that consistency of product, because I think that's the biggest thing, that it drives, me up the wall, is when it's that inconsistency. You get a really great meal Monday night, Sunday night's a different chef, whatever it might be, or the product, or they've left, they've waited, or they've chosen some other cut of meat. You're very strict, from what I can hear, about what's coming out of your Whole
Got to be
Foods.
consistent, because
Yes,
as you said, you come on a Monday night, you want to make sure you remember this dish. If I had,
yes,
the beef cheeks or the lamb rump, and it's like, God, that was good. It's like, and you take your partner, you go back there on the weekend, and you want to, you talk so highly of that product, and you get there on the Friday and they're busy and that product slips. Do you know what I mean? And
yes.
it's not consistent. So it is, and look, that is our industry. It's hard, but by providing that support to the industry, by taking all that hard work away from the venues, it makes it far easier to make sure that those beef cheeks are being cooked for 8 hours, slow and low, the same
Yes, yes,
time every time.
yes, yeah.
They melt in your mouth.
And it's not only consistent, I'm sure it is efficiency as well as cost effective, because there'd be little waste.
Very little waste. They're not cooking overnight, so there's no risk.
Yes.
They're making sure that product is cooked the same way every time. And what they're doing is reheating and serving it. So it's really making sure, and it's still a beautiful dish. Do you know what I mean? I mean, a sous vide product, you cannot beat a sous vide product. It just
No.
melts in your mouth.
Yes, which
Tell I'm
is
a bit passionate
fantastic.
about food, can't you?
Slightly. I'm sure the people watching on YouTube or Spotify video can certainly see your passion, and those others can certainly hear it, Steve. You've also you mentioned briefly about Hospitality Genie. This is a cloud-based software program solution, I'm assuming. So how does Genie actually redefine operational efficiencies for venues, and what makes it stand apart from other systems in the market, Steve?
Look, the great thing about Hospitality Genie, it's a holistic solution. So it does from your compliance, your workflow, your supply chain, all your recipe cards, your financial management, asset register, maintenance requests, customer service. It's our entire system. Our 54 in our leadership team all use Hospitality Genie within the business. They don't need to use any other solutions. Obviously, we use the pod, the point of sale at the clubs, which again integrates with our Hospitality Genie,
Right.
but it is the solution. So from sending orders to a supplier to approving invoices, all your temperature checks, it's all automated through that one solution. It reduces a lot of administration time,
Mm.
and it really helps to improve the bottom line. And that's been a big change for us. We have saved tens of thousands of dollars with Genie. So,
Mm.
at a time where the hospitality industry really needs to save on costs and really improve their margins, that's what the Genie does for them. And it has helped us grow. Currently have 1,200 customers across Australia, and we're looking at growing that. But it's a really good solution for anybody that's really looking to improve the efficiencies within the business. As one example, we process 3,500 invoices a week through Catering HQ. It
Wow,
takes us 40 minutes to approve those 3,500. And it gets automated, approved, and approved for payment with our accounts team.
that
And it
is
dots your
fantastic.
I's and cross your T's and make sure there's no discrepancy from a delivery, from a weight, from a price. It is locked in, it's all automated, and it has
Mm.
saved us a lot of money.
I'm just thinking when you were this 18-year-old young, cool guy starting this restaurant, what do you think you would have preferred, the Hospo in a box or the Genie?
Ooh, I'm still a hospitality man, deep at heart. Do you know? And I used to, when I used to go to work with my father, and I used to see the kitchen, the hustle and bustle. I still love that. Even now, although I've got 350 staff and all these venues, get me on the pass any days. I love the pass. I love that pressure point. When you're in it, you're made for it. And I'm just so I love it. I love that hustle and bustle.
Yeah. And that obviously shows through your commitment to your team and to growing your business very successfully, but also for growing others, which is fantastic. I'm just thinking, you obviously didn't sit and do Netflix binge watching during COVID. You had a lot going on here.
Absolutely. Me and my partner Albie, we went to the office every day and we worked on the business. We worked on the business.
Yes.
And as I said, when we came out of lockdown, it was all about right. We reset ourselves and
Mm.
we're ready to take on the world.
And
So
and
yeah,
just go. Yeah, and
yeah,
just grow from
absolutely.
it. So
Yeah.
now with 26 dining concepts, 39 event spaces, which is a phenomenal amount, consistency and quality are crucial. How do you manage brand standards and guest experiences across such a vast and varied portfolio? Because they are quite varied. You might want to mention a couple, Steve, if you're happy to do that.
Yeah, of course.
Those differences that are there, because some of my listeners, many of them are in the USA and of course here in Australia and Europe, but
Yeah.
give us some idea.
So
Mm.
look, I mean, the prominent clubs that we're in, which overseas, I normally use them as mini casinos without the
Mhm.
accommodation. That's what I use them as an example. Some of the smaller venues with just the one concept, but then other venues like your Castle Hill RSL, we've got multiple outlets as well. So again, they do vary from venue to venue. Some have multiple function spaces, some have more limited function spaces. What we do across the group is we have the core menu. So 70% of our core menu is the same across the entire group.
Okay. Mhm.
And then we tweak them according to the demographic. So somewhere like Cronulla RSL, which is on the beachfront, we have a 3-tier seafood platter.
Mm.
Versus somewhere out, towards Windsor, we may have something more classics that are on the menu there. So we do tweak the menus to suit the demographics of the venue. So it's not the same, but the core menu. So that which enables us to be able to buy bulk and be able to produce bulk as well to obviously cater to all of our venues. Then
Mm.
we've got other venues which we diversify a little bit, like the Powerhouse Group. So the Observatory in Sydney, the Powerhouse at Castle Hill, which is purely just function
Mm.
spaces. We don't have kitchen facilities in there. We basically bump in, we do all the setups, we cater to the events, and then we bump out. So we have mobile kitchens. So again, all of our businesses are slightly different from others, but as I said,
Mm.
the core are our clubs. So as I said, the core menu is the same. We do menu planning with our group executive chef and all of our head chefs. We plan the menus. So when we do plan those menus, we bring them all together. We do all the plate ups together. We build the recipe cards collectively, so
Gosh, yeah.
everyone's on the same page, and then they go back to the venues to launch any sort of new menus. But we are very much we collaborate with our team because we bring them all together. Although
Mm,
we make all those decisions from a head office, it's really important that we engage with all the teams so everybody's on the same board. We then do those menu tastings with our front of house staff so everybody sees how the plate should be presented,
mm,
what the flavor profile should be. And then if I'm a front of house staff member or a manager, when a chef is plating a meal, if they don't see if something's quite right or there's something missing, they have the right to push back those meals to make sure they're replated, to make sure that we are consistent. So
mm,
everybody is on the same page, and we all share the same vision.
which is fantastic. And I love how you've got it 70% of the menu is that core, but having that little bit of a tweak. And Cronulla RSL and those three-tier seafood. Yes, well, let me just say this. What time do we finish this recording? I'm out of here. And I'm looking at that beautiful framed. I don't know whether that's a photograph or an ink drawing there behind you, but
Yeah,
that's
it's a
just some of our
photograph. Yeah,
beautiful
I'm sitting at Cronulla today, actually.
at
So
Cronulla. It looks absolutely stunning. So, you're looking at that when you're dining in Steve's restaurant. And I think that's where it's important that you're able to tweak it, not only for the region, but also for that demographic of the people that are there. Yeah, and then they feel like it's theirs. They own that then too, don't
absolutely,
they?
definitely,
Yes.
and and it's important. It's important to understand the customer base because there every demographic's different,
Mm,
and we're always we always try to push the boundaries a little bit because we're always looking at what's on trend. So whenever we're planning our menu, so for instance, we've already launched our winter menu. We're already planning our spring menu in September. So
yes.
we're already doing that research. We're seeing what product we can source. We look at what the trends are in the US, in the UK, all over the world. And
Mm,
I've got to say, sometimes we're too advanced for Australia,
yes.
Australian market. We're a little bit too advanced, and but again, we like testing, and people love coming to our venues because they know we're changing the menus all the time.
Mm,
We keep the staples, as you said earlier, Michelle. The chicken snitty, the fish and chips, the roast. That they are the staples, but
yes.
the rest of the menu we do change it with the season. So it's and understanding the client base and what people like, and we'll try things. If they don't work, we change them out. So we're
Yes.
we're always trying to educate our customers as well to introduce new dishes and new flavors.
Which is fantastic. And I know, I travel, I go over to the States in less than 2 weeks now, and I can't wait. It's been a whole year since then. And trying out all the different food concepts and going to the National Restaurant Association, each year in Chicago and seeing these great ideas. But you're right, some of them can be just so amazing. You just think, if I brought that back, or I use a part of that, or part of that experience, yes, but am I going to bring something on that it's just going to be so far away from what the person's wanting that they're going to go, oh, I don't know. And then you lose a really good customer. So
That's right. Yeah.
but it's also educating them as well. I know as, I've got three much older brothers. And so my parents were a lot older. My father had gone to the Second World War. And so when I was growing up, we used to only have, maybe once a month, we'd have an egg and bacon pie. And I thought that was wonderful because my mother whispered to me once as I got older, you can't call it quiche because dad doesn't want any of that foreign stuff. And, like no man would eat a quiche. No Aussie bloke's going to eat a quiche. We just have to be an egg and bacon pie, Michelle. And I think that's the thing, but he loved it. And, as he got older, it became a little bit of a joke. But that's the thing. If we put something on that's what they believe is too fancy, then we can turn them away. But we do need to educate them and get them trying new flavors as
I
well.
remember when I put jackfruit on the menu when plant-based was first coming out, and we were
Right.
so well advanced, and everyone said, "What is jackfruit?" Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
It was still so new. And
Hmm.
we took it off the menu, and as soon as we took it off the menu, everyone started putting it on the menu.
Yes. That's what happens when you're one of these people that you are the trendsetter, not the trend follower. So it makes it hard. So look, you've achieved both national and state recognition through various industry awards. What do these accolades mean to you and your team, Steve? I mean, and how do they actually impact on your leadership approach?
It's funny. It's interesting that you say that. And I get warm and fuzzy talking about it because it's a bit of a rivalry within our teams because obviously we've got all these different venues. Whenever we are, going for these awards, we put all the venues into it. So it's a bit of a competition within the team because they want
Good.
their venues to achieve those awards. So it really boosts them. So it really sort of encourages them, and we want them to feel empowered. So it really gives them that empowerment. Like when they come into their venues, the venue managers, the head chefs, they take ownership.
Mm.
They really take and they strive for it because they treat it like it's their own business because we want
Yes.
them to feel that way. And it really helps them. That's how we mentor them because, we know one day they may want to go into their own business. So for them to take that ownership, it really encourages them. But there is a real banter between the group, which is it's quite nice to watch, and even whether it's awards or if financial outcomes as well, we provide that information to them, but
Mm.
it really builds them and gives them that confidence to strive and to succeed further. Because I always say to my team, we've done a great job today, but how are we going to do better tomorrow? And how we
Yes.
learn from those experiences. So, these awards that we've won, we've won Best Wedding Caterer, we've won Best Corporate Caterer, various awards that we've won. But it really encourages them to always to strive to succeed. And
Mm.
I love seeing them. And I pinch myself sometimes when I go into my venues and they're really, really busy and
Mm.
every function room is full and everyone's running around and they're calmly, I should say, not running around. They are running around. But to go in there and just to watch the venues and the leadership team just run that venue
Yes.
efficiently and with
Mm.
pride and with a smile on their face, there's no
Mm.
better feeling. So
Yes.
it really the awards encourages the team, and even if we don't win, it's okay. It's
Mm.
there's always there's always
Oh, that's next year.
there's always next year, but we still encourage them and we still
Yes.
love being part of it. And as I
Mm.
said, it gives them that pride as well when their venues win an
Yeah.
award.
And it
Yeah.
does. And it really brings them together. And a little bit of healthy competition is fine. And you can have that little bit of a joke, but it also just has that moment to stop and recognize individuals and a team on great work. Because I think in life, we just go from one thing to another, Steve. It's like, oh, well, we got that one. What's the next? Oh, we got
Yeah,
that. What's
no,
the next thing?
absolutely.
And
Yeah.
we never just stop to recognize you've won this and look what you've done to achieve this.
It's
That's
so
what it's
important.
about.
It's so important. And we do
Yes.
we do shout outs. We've got a rewards program for our staff. They accumulate points. So their managers, do shout outs. They accumulate points. They can go and get vouchers with these points. So we give back to our team, and it could be
Yes.
even if it's not a manager and it's just a floor staff member, we'll
Mm.
do that shout out. So if we get customer surveys, or our mystery shoppers, which we've got a great company that we use that come to our venues.
Oh, don't tell them.
But we'll do those shout outs as well. So
Yes.
it's giving that not only the leadership team, but also our frontline staff, everybody equally deserves to get recognized.
Yes, yeah. And it is important. I think, it's funny when I'm working with middle managers, in the industry and even senior managers, some of them will push back and go, "Oh, Michelle, I don't need to be recognized. Why do they need to be recognized?" And to me, it's an important part of being a human to be recognized for something. And too often, people don't realize the little things by just saying, "Great job. Great food. Gee, you presented that well," whatever it might be in your world, as well as in anybody listening. It's just that moment that we've taken to really see that person and congratulate them for what they're doing. I think
Couldn't
that's so
agree more.
important.
Yeah,
It,
it's really
it
important.
really is. It's just
Yeah.
too easy just to brush over things.
It goes a long way. And as I said at the
Yes.
beginning, that's why it's so important for our industry to recognize those champions
Mm.
that can grow, that can
Yes.
progress, and giving them that opportunity. Sure, I can lose, I can sometimes get frustrated. I say once, twice, three times, but there are a lot of champions out there, and
Yes.
they've just got to be given that opportunity to grow and progress and get upskilled. And that's why, I hear people say staff shortages, staff shortages. There's not staff shortages. If you look after your people, you will find people.
Yes. Yeah. And look, it's a learning curve as well. It's finding, it's attracting them and then retaining them and then working out, well, what am I doing as a leader correctly? That's going to bring, as you were saying right from the start, becoming that workplace of choice is so important. Do you find, Steve, or do you, when you bring new team members in, do you give them an opportunity to go into one of your existing venues that, so they can see what the operation is like? Or do you find that they are so well qualified, well, that they know what they're doing, then they just slot in to your new venue?
No,
How do you go about
no,
that?
no.
Mm.
There's a very detailed onboarding process
Mm.
that we go through from There's the online induction, there's a face-to-face induction, there's the site orientation. They get shown around, they do shadow with whether it's a head chef, sous chef, front of house manager, depending on the roles. There's a process that we go through. It doesn't matter how skilled they are,
Mm.
they've got to understand our way as well. So
Yes.
there is a real thorough onboarding process. And then we've got 16 micro-credential courses on our e-learning platform.
Mhm.
Every part of our business is online. So they need to go through, depending on if I'm just on the larder section, I've got to go on and do that micro credential course on our e-learning platform. And until
Right.
I've done that, I can't work in that section. So they've
Mm.
got to go through that process.
I love that because I think that's the thing. We just think, oh, well, they're skilled. We put them in, but that doesn't mean that like they've got to know. They've got to know your world. They've got to know the people that they're working with. They've got to understand your values and your vision. And that's key. And it's not to say that they won't fit in, but I think we've seen too often in all businesses where we think, oh, that person's really, and then you think, oh my gosh, that was like, right person, but just the right role, or just no, this is just no, it
No.
was the wrong decision.
And look, and I'll say when we go through that process, especially when they're more senior roles, and I'll jump on those interview process with our HR.
Mm.
It's somebody that say, oh, I can, I can work in every section, I can do everything. Well, it depends on the size of the venue. Do you know what I mean? Like
Yes.
if
Yes.
I'm only an 80-seater restaurant, sure, you could do that. But when you look at our venues that we do 1,200 people on a Saturday lunch, then,
Mm.
you know,
Yeah.
80 versus 1,200 is very different. So
It is. It's very different.
it's
Yes.
very different.
So
Yeah.
then how are you going to work with that, and how are your team going to see you managing a team in a really busy scenario? Because our teams are always watching us, aren't they? So mm,
Absolutely. So it's really
yes.
making sure that onboarding, that training, there's a lot of training that gets involved before
Yes.
before we hand over the keys, should I say?
Mm.
Do you know
Well,
what I
which
mean?
is good. Yeah.
Yeah,
Because I
absolutely.
think that's the thing. And can we, I know this wasn't one of our set questions, but there's a lot of there's a lot of responsibility because this is, your company, and then you're giving those keys, so to speak, to somebody else. You can't be in all these venues 24 hours a day, or maybe even once a day, once a week, or once a month. So you've got to ensure what was that like, when you open? And I know I'd love you to talk about the one that you've just recently opened, and you've been sharing that on
Yeah.
social media. What's that feeling like that when you've got this new business, you put this team in, and then you've got to pass those keys over?
I'm very much involved in that process.
Yeah.
Because I'm the top of the ladder, I'm involved all the way through.
Mm.
And we work with those teams until we are confident to
Yes.
let go, and we do it in stages. But the process we've got, it's a very tight process, and again, I'm not, pitching the hospitality genie, but the software we've got all those processes in place, but it's
Mm.
making sure that they go through that training, they go through that onboarding, we work with them, and we live it and breathe it. So our exec team, whenever we bump into a new venue, we're all there. We're
Right.
there from the moment we open to the moment we close every day, and
Mm.
we're confident that we've built that training. We've also got a mobilization team as well. So when we do in, there's the new team, the new head chefs and sous chefs, unless we bring them from another venue, and the management team. But we'll always shadow somebody else, whether it's from our mobilization team or from another venue that
Right.
works with them. So we really make sure there's that clear process and
Mm.
an understanding and that onboarding before we let go. So
Yeah.
I don't give those keys to anybody, Michelle. I hold on to them tight.
I'm
I'm
sure.
not a control freak, but I just like to make sure
Sure. No,
that
but it's your reputation, and
yes,
and it's a very small industry. And the thing is also, we do not want to set up anybody for failure.
definitely not. And same
No.
Hospo in the box.
Yes.
These franchises, although Catering HQ network is in the behind the scenes because
Mm.
the front facing to the customer is under the club's brand, but it's still making sure that they succeed, whether it's,
Mm.
it's customer service, the food quality, financial, when we need to make sure the club's happy as well. So it's important that they succeed in all aspects. And,
Yes.
it's not for us, it's not just about being the biggest and, we want to be the best at what we do. So it's
Mm.
making sure that we're very, critical about that and our strategy around the growth and the venues and the people that come on board with us.
Mm.
It's important that we all succeed.
Yes, very much so, because bringing everybody along that journey, then it's wonderful for everybody, but it just shows you that commitment to each other, which is so important. You've mentioned a few little times just about that, the good and plenty whole foods. So, you've talked about you've got Hospo in a box, you've got the genie. So, this is a relatively new addition to your portfolio. And so, this is one of your four pillars.
Mhm.
So, how does this align with the current consumer trends and what's your vision for its growth?
I said I promised I wasn't going to say this again, but COVID, we
Again.
built we built Good and Plenty Whole Foods, Catering HQ Whole Foods during COVID. Myself and Albie went looking at warehouses. We found the warehouse in Gregory Hills, and we built that facility. So we've now cut out all distributors across our group. 85% of our purchases come through Catering HQ Whole Foods. So we've got obviously core products that we buy from different manufacturers, whether it's small goods, whether it's dairy, potato, chips. When everyone was running out of chips, we had
Yes.
chips secured. But then obviously our production kitchen as well. So we've got the Good and Plenty Whole Foods brand, which is all of the products that our production chefs make. We've got Moon Deli, which is our Asian concept as well. So all of our dumplings and spring rolls that we make internally. And then we've got Tutti's Patisserie, which is all of our pastries. So everything gets produced within our factory and then sold to our own venues. But we also do sell to other third parties as well. So if there's a particular club, pub, hotel, somebody that's looking for a bespoke product, we can make that from them within our production kitchen and we provide that to them as well. That's
Mm,
been a real game changer for us because it's enabled us to really buy in advance as well. So when things,
yes.
when we know things are at a premium, we can always buy well in advance. So for
Mm,
instance, lamb shanks, we bought them, when the prices were low, we bought them and we sous vide them, we blast chilled them and we had them for winter. So it's always
yes.
making sure that, the way our industry works, prices fluctuate all the time. So when we're pricing our menus,
Mm,
we lock our menus in for 3 months. You plan
right.
a menu, and the next minute, if you don't have that buying capacity,
Mm.
supplier puts the prices up, and you don't make your
And then
margin.
you're stuck.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
So
Yes. Yeah.
it's enabled us a lot of control, and that's what we've helped our own businesses, but other clubs, pubs, and hotels as well. So it's been a real game changer for us. And we're now looking at satellite warehouses in every state of Australia. So with Hospo in the box, these satellite warehouses will also support the franchise venues as well across every state of Australia.
And I was about to say that because it's Gregory Hills is my old stomping ground, before we moved here to the beautiful Southern Highlands. And of course, we've got the Southwest Sydney Airport, which is a magnificent airport, opens up next year. We'll be having international flights, national flights, and that to me, I'm thinking probably when you were, and look, you're a very smart gentleman, and so is Albie. I'm sure you would have thought at the time, Gregory Hills, people would have thought, why go there? A, it's this booming area because you've got so many employees, like it's just full of people. But you've now got this airport literally a couple of kilometres up the road.
Absolutely. The
Going to be
airport, the
wonderful.
M5, M7, all
Yes.
the freeways, we can go anywhere. So we've really centralized ourselves in a perfect
Mm.
position.
Yeah. A
Although
real,
we might have outgrown it by, very, very soon. But anyway, we're still doing well there. But
but
yeah,
a
it was
smart move. And once again, just thinking about what are those, what's the future instead of, some people, are hesitant, aren't they? Oh, well, we don't want to plan out that, long term because what happens if something, well, life goes on. And so by doing that, as you've said, you've even outgrown it in that short period of time. So,
absolutely. And we thought at the time, wow, it's a big place. How are we ever going
yes,
to
how are we
fill
going
it
to fill
up?
it?
Our procurement officer's like, I'm running out of room. So we've
That's
never
crazy. It
it's
isn't it? It
great.
really is crazy
Yeah, it's beautiful.
how
Yeah.
fast. And so you were saying those who've got Hospo in the box and the genie, they purchase that food through your Whole Foods. That's
Absolutely.
fantastic. So it's
So
all
look,
that
85,
quality.
yeah. So quality control, we make sure that consistency. But because if they buy from distributors, they can mix brands, they can substitute brands. With us,
Yes.
we've got our core products. We know the products we want, and they
Mm,
know we can supply them that product. So as you said, ensure that consistency,
mm.
and yeah, and making sure that they're getting a good price as well, because we've got that buying power. So
Yes.
we pass that on because again, the franchisees, the hospital in the box, we want to make sure they make their margins as well. Do you know what I mean? We
Mm.
want them to be profitable. We want them to be successful, and
Yes.
give them that support. The only thing we're not putting through the warehouse is your fruit and vegetables, our perishables,
Right. Yes.
and things like coffee as
Mm.
well. So there's a few areas, as I said, 85% all comes through Catering HQ Whole Foods, and there's other things that go direct to venue.
Yes. Perfect. Thank you. Now, before we wrap up, talking about trends before. Looking forward, what innovations or changes do you believe will define the next decade in hospitality? And how is Catering HQ preparing for them?
We we still talk about plant-based products.
Yuck.
I know, but it is a growing
Sorry.
trend. I know, and it just keeps growing though, and it's something that will continue to grow. I know, people don't like to hear it, but it's a given. It's a known fact. It is a growing trend. Michelle, I don't eat it either, but anyway, but it is a growing trend. It's becoming a real big trend. The other thing, and not because we're doing it, slow cooked meats is a
Okay.
very, and second grade cuts as well.
Oh,
Prime cut, primary cuts are just getting outpriced. So
yes.
people are using, and look, I remember when ribs were like $3 a kilo, and now you're paying $20 plus a kilo.
Gosh.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And that was, people used to throw ribs out, and now
Yes.
so again, I talk about secondary cuts, and eventually they'll become a premium cut as well. But
Mm,
plant-based, secondary cuts, and slow cooked meats is
right.
what I'm really seeing, and becoming more on trend. Uh,
Yes. Yeah.
but again, things are evolving all the time, and it's always really being ahead of the game, and hence why we're always doing our own research, um,
Yes.
and just seeing watching the markets. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
Because
Mm,
it's really tough for our industry when people are pricing menus. There's only so much customers are willing to pay,
yes. Very
and
true.
with rising costs, so we've got to look at alternatives as well.
Mm.
But again, always being seeing, doing the research, seeing what's on trend, and planning well in advance. I think it's important.
Yes, yeah, planning it is very much so. So, Steve, before we finish up, is there anything that I haven't asked about your business that you'd like to share with us with Catering HQ, but also how can they get in contact with you and find out more?
Look, Michelle, my big thing is I love seeing I'm very passionate about our industry. I
Yes.
love sharing my insights. I love sharing my knowledge. So if anybody wants to reach out to me to talk to me about their own business, or they're interested in any of our four pillars, they can visit our website, which is cateringhqgroup.com.
Mhm.
And there's an inquiry page on there. Again, there's a lot of information on there about our four pillars. But again, I love sharing my knowledge. So if anybody needs help, or they need any assistance within their own businesses, feel free to reach out.
That's wonderful. And I'll put all those links in the show notes for my listeners. Now, listeners, I'm sure you've taken away copious notes today, not only about how somebody has built an amazing business, but also how they've diversified to help others, leading teams, bringing them on that journey, and hearing about the amazing four pillars of Catering HQ. Thank you so very much, Steve, for joining me today.
Thanks, Michelle.